Good morning. Let us begin our metta meditation first. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. These are very noble, wonderful thought of metta. With this metta in background, let us practice our mindfulness. We pay total mindful attention to the breath. I want to remind everybody, mindful attention is the attention without greed, hatred and delusion, to understand the root of our thoughts, and then we can identify them very quickly and let them go. And then we pay attention to the breath while understanding this reality of rising and falling. You notice the breath touching the rims of our nostrils and then expanding our lower abdomen and expanding our chest area as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, we notice the contraction of our lower abdomen, contracting our chest area, and the breath leaving our nostrils. As we breathe out, again we notice the lower abdomen contract, chest contract, breath leaves the nostrils. This happens again and again as we breathe in and out. And then notice the breath is changing. We notice the feeling of breath is changing. Perception of breath is changing. Thoughts changing. And consciousness changing. As we breathe out, also they change the same way. So whether we breathe in and out, in or out, we notice the change of feeling, perceptions and so on. That is happening all the time. Only the difference is that becoming aware or not aware. We become aware of these changes only when we pay attention. Otherwise, the changes are taking place, we even don't know. And then the mind doesn't try to hold on to anything. since everything is changing, the breath is relaxing, mind relaxes, the body relaxes, and then in that state we let go of our greed or clinging. And then as a result of letting go, we relax even further. Our uptightness, rigidity fades away. Body relaxes, mind relaxes, the breath relaxes. This is what we hear in Satipatthana and Anapanasati. Passambhayam kaya sankarang asya sissamiti sikkati. Passambhayam kaya sankarang pasya sissamiti sikkati. We train ourselves relaxing our body, here breath body. When we relax, we naturally begin to feel metta, friendliness. What we experience is universal, nothing is particular to us. Like metta itself is universal, and when we are relaxed, metta feeling arises. Not the word, but the feeling of metta. And then we relax even further. Then our restlessness and worry fade away. Compassion arises. Compassion arises especially when we know that there are suffering beings, including ourselves. So compassion arises. And then we become more active, the mind becomes alert as well as agile. Then joy arises, restlessness and worry fade away. And then we see all these are happening one after the other, and then all our doubt fades away, or sleepiness fade away, doubt fade away, and then we gain further joy, tranquility, happiness. Then concentration arises. This does not happen as quickly as I mentioned. This happens gradually. Through your practice you will see how they all line up and arise, and the mind becomes concentrated. Since there is no hindrances, no agitation, excitement, concentration arises. When concentration arises, our awareness of impermanence becomes even stronger and more powerful and sharp, and then we will see the subtlest changes taking place in our body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts and consciousness. You may not notice their change, all of them together, but you can see. Sometimes you notice the changes of the breath, sometimes feeling, sometimes perception, sometimes thought, sometimes consciousness. Whatever you experience is changing. And noticing that we continue our practice so that eventually, slowly and gradually, our greed, hatred, and illusion fade away. dukkha patta ca nidukkha, bhaya patta ca nibhaya, soka patta ca nisoka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this very noble metta thought in mind, let us focus our mind on the answers to these questions which my friend Brian will read for me.
Okay, Bhante. First question is, could you please explain the difference between right concentration and right samadhi in the Noble Eightfold Path?
Right concentration and right samadhi, Noble Eightfold Path. This includes almost entire teachings of the Buddha. Right concentration, right samadhi, these two terms are the same. Right concentration is in English, right samadhi is in Pali. Samadhi is wholesome one-pointedness of mind, is called right samadhi or right concentration. And right concentration has 4 steps, and these 4 steps are in Pali. Step is first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. First jhana is explained as quite secluded from sense pleasures, secluded from unwholesome mental states. One dwells and enters and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by initial thought, sustained thought, and these are the qualities of the first jhana. Meaning, in the first jhana, all you need is seclusion and overcoming your hindrances. Quite secluded from sense pleasures, secluded from unwholesome state of mind. Secluded means, I mentioned in earlier answering a question earlier, without appasadda, appanigosa, vijanavata, manusaraseya, and patisallana sarupa. These are the qualities of seclusion. Less sound, less noise, away from human movement, and being able to hide away from human beings, and suitable, conducive for gaining concentration. Manusarasayika, patisallana sarupani. Suitable, so secluded, quiet practice. These are the qualities of seclusion. I mentioned seclusion 2 kinds, or 3 kinds: physical seclusion, mental seclusion, and seclusion from all defilements. All these are called seclusion. We are, at least for the first jhana, we need physical seclusion and seclusion of mind. That means overcoming hindrances. So long as we have hindrances, we are not secluded. Of course, ultimate seclusion is without even greed. As long as we have greed, Buddha said Sadutiya, living with the second. We are not alone. We have greed. So long as we have greed, we have a companion. Even that companion has to be left behind in order to have a real seclusion. So long as greed is there, how powerful and wonderful physical seclusion is, we still will be living in the society with company and family and so forth because of the desire. When the desire is at least temporarily, we have to overcome 5 hindrances, the first of which is desire. As long as we have this, we are not secluded. And the reason why we want to overcome hindrance, desire, especially, is that when we are in practice of meditation, we will not have any fear. When there is desire, fear arises. That is why in Arya Pariyesana Sutta Buddha mentioned, I have no fear of attaining jhanas because he has overcome his hindrances. And also there is another very important reason. When one attains the state of enlightenment, at least nirodha, what you call anagami state, one would be able to attain the nirodha samapatti, cessation of feeling and perception. All these are possible when we are secluded. So beginning is secluding. Second is uh, overcoming hindrances. This is the first jhana. The concentration in the first jhana is not very deep because there are thought, vitakka, and vichara sustain maintaining these thoughts, and thoughts keep coming again and again. And in the we have to do special training to overcome hindrances. Vitakka, there are discourses called Vitakka Santana Sutta and so forth, the way of showing the ways of overcoming hindrance of vitakka, thought. And then that is the first jhana, which is not very deep. And the second jhana, I'm trying to explain the samadhi or concentration, which has 4 steps I mentioned. First step is overcoming or attaining the first jhana by overcoming hindrances and being secluded. Concentration is not very deep. Why? Because there are thought, vitakka and vichara. And then when you attain the first jhana, you master it by repeated attaining, reflecting, and danger of hindrances and so on. And then mind naturally let go of thought, vitakka, vichara, initial thought, sustained thought. I mentioned thoughts are uh, 3 types. Nekkhamma vitakka, vyapada vitakka, vihimsa vitakka, or kama vitakka, vyapada vitakka, vihimsa vitakka. Vitakka means thought. And we let go of all these thoughts either by not paying attention or by seeing the danger or going to the root, and various ways we have to use to overcome these hindrances. Vitakka vichara. And then mind gains a real good concentration. That is called samadhijam pita sukham. Samadhijam pita sukham. Samadhi, you gain concentration and joy and happiness only in the second jhana after overcoming. Then, while you are in the second jhana, in addition to concentration, you have piti, joy, and equanimity. These are the, especially piti, piti as viraga, overcoming piti. Piti, as I mentioned earlier, is the mental state that arises in anticipation of success. In anticipation of success, joy arises. And this joy arises in stages. One, first it will be very tingling, like needle pricking, not painful but pleasant slowly, and it keeps increasing, and you may enjoy that joy, piti, in the second jhana. And then you overcome afterward, you see that also is sort of an impediment and obstructions for your higher development. And seeing this, as you attain the second jhana again and again, you see this danger, and then mind naturally glides into the third jhana. Third jhana is as pītyājiraga upekka koca virati satoca sampajano sukhancha kayena parisangvedi yantang arya āchikhanti upekka ko satima sukha vihariti. So you enjoy you attain the third jhana, which has where you overcome this joy or piti, and the mind is further withdrawn from clinging, viraga, and then the equanimity and mindfulness. Equanimity and mindfulness also were in the first jhana and second jhana, but they were not very clear, not quite prominent, not very significant, although they are there, but they are not very powerful and not very active. When you attain the third jhana, your mindfulness and equanimity are quite standing out, exaggerated, and very clear. You can notice that. And you stay in that state long as you like, as long as you can, and then you will lose it, you will re-attain it again and again and again and again. Then you will see even this mindfulness and equanimity is not very clear, not very powerful enough to keep you in concentrated state, and then you overcome that. Then you attain the fourth jhana. That is formula is sukha sajapana, dukkha sajapana, pubbhe somanas domana saranangatangama, adukkang asukang upekka satiparisuddhi chatutta jhana upasambhajigari. That means you overcome joy and pain. Especially when you attain the second jhana, you have no pain. Then you have no particular happiness that can stay in you because that happiness very necessary in the first, second, third jhana. But when you see their danger is as soon as you lose them, you will not be very happy. And then dukkha, physical pain, and domanasa, mental disappointment, all this will disappear when you attain the fourth jhana. And then your mindfulness and your equanimity and mindfulness both becomes pure. Upekha sati parisuddhim. Upekha sati parisuddhim. Both equanimity and mindfulness becomes perfectly clear in the fourth jhana. Remember, we are talking about the right jhana, right samadhi. In the right samadhi, mindfulness is absolutely necessary. In the right samadhi, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, all these seven factors of the Noble Eightfold Path uh, give support to attaining the fourth jhana. That means understanding supports right thinking, thinking supports right speech, right speech supports right action supports right livelihood, right livelihood supports right effort, right effort supports right mindfulness supports right concentration. Remember that relay chariot I mentioned earlier? These are not arising independent of others, all dependently arising. Right the right understanding, right thought arises from depending on right understanding. Right speech depends on right thinking. Right action depend on right speech. Right livelihood depend on right action. Right effort depends on right livelihood. And right mindfulness depend on right effort. And right concentration depend on right mindfulness. And so forth. All these are dependently arising. Our series of talks are on dependent origination. Even the Noble Eightfold Path develops, grows, multiplies, and we gain concentration to see things exactly as they are. All arise not in isolation, not sporadically here and there by fluke of luck, but they all grow slowly, gradually to come to the peak of right concentration, right samadhi. And therefore, Noble Eightfold Path is absolutely necessary for the right concentration, right samadhi, samma samadhi. You may gain concentration by many means. They are not right concentration. And therefore, for the right concentration, all these uh, factors are necessary. They all arise in that order. And therefore, I mention Sila Samadhi Panya. Sila means morality, Samadhi means concentration, Panya means wisdom. Now see how our Sila develops when we have right understanding, how our Samadhi develops when we have right understanding, how our wisdom arises when we have right concentration. And this is wonderful system. One leads to the other, cleaning, tilling. The background must be very strong to attain this state. So this is a brief answer to your very good question. Okay.
Bhante, you can see here that Peter has his hand raised. So, Peter, if you'd like to ask your question.
Yes, Peter, what is the question?
Hi, Bhante. Thank you, Brian. So since the Dharma is so extensive, would it be more correctly that the steps of investigation that you discussed, I believe late last week or over the weekend, are really in iterative cycles to eventually achieve liberation.
Yes, investigation itself is very powerful as a fact of enlightenment, as what you call Bojjhanga, Sati, Dhamma Vichaya, investigation. And investigation also is one of the factors of enlightenment and one of the 5 ways of attaining liberation. When we investigate what we do, we very carefully, mindfully, impartially examine our own thoughts, words, deeds, our own mental states to see where we go wrong, where we may go right. We can see, and then slowly we remove our defilements. As we investigate all the 8 factors of Noble Eightfold Path, 7 factors of enlightenment, slowly become very clear to us, and we will see the way they all work together to free ourselves from suffering. And therefore investigation is very important factor of enlightenment. When we investigate, we don't investigate with biases, prejudices, with all kind of preconceived notions, theories, ideas, and so forth. We purely, clearly, sincerely investigate our own mental state. Our mental state is our Dhamma. Our thoughts, words, deeds are our Dhamma. And so we take us as a laboratory. In this laboratory, we slowly, mindfully check out everything. That is how investigation is. Investigation becomes a powerful factor of attaining total liberation.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Next question. In response to a question on attachment to views and opinions of self and others, you mentioned to contemplate on impermanence, and also it is one of the fetters associated with not being able to attain Sotapanna stage. I do understand this. In a lay or monastic life, one has to make decisions and choices, and these have to be based on one's opinion. So the way I reflect on your answer is that we make these choices based on our understanding, but don't have attachment to them. Please let me know if this interpretation leads to wisdom.
Now, when you what do you call have an opinion, ideas, beliefs, that opinion, ideas, view or belief, you must look at. It is very difficult for people to examine their own views, opinions, ideas, because they are, in order to form an opinion, they themselves must be prejudiced, biased. Now, in order to overcome that bias, that prejudice, one should not have a view. This is exactly in Madhu Pindika Sutta, when Dandapani Brahmin, who used to walk with a walking stick like myself, went to Buddha and asked him, what did he believe? And Buddha gave a very comprehensive, long answer. This man expected the Buddha to give a certain view, certain opinion. Instead of Buddha said, I don't have my belief, or what I teach is that when you follow this teaching, you will not have any kind of view, opinion. Uh, so long as you have view and opinion, you are in conflict with others, because everybody is not following or accepting your opinion or view. So the Buddha's teaching is not to have any opinion or view, rather to free the mind from opinion and views, because opinions, views always in the first place formed with bias. On the other hand, it will lead to conflicts. So when you see the truth, for instance, impermanence is indisputable truth. It is not an opinion. It is not an opinion. It is just the truth. Dependent origination is not an opinion. It is the truth. You may perhaps, if you very mindfully, carefully examine the Dhamma, you will see, as I just finished saying, even the Noble Eightfold Path, each of them develops depending on the previous one, and the previous one has to be very strong and powerful. And therefore, that is, for instance, number one is right understanding. What is right understanding? Right understanding is the understanding of impermanence, dependent origination, and then, of course, Four Noble Truths. These are not opinions. For instance, suffering is not an opinion. Suffering is that what we all experience. That can be physical, mental, or at least existence in samsara. Very existence is suffering, because existence means so many things involved in it. And that existence itself is a suffering. And the cause of it is the desire. No matter what sort of desire we have, even to attain enlightenment, is a desire. But that desire, we say, is a desire, wholesome desire, because that desire is desire to be desireless. When you start with letting go, or without greed, when you start something without greed, for instance, when you practice generosity and so forth without greed, when your greed is over, you attain the goal. If you do something with greed, you keep, with greed you can do something wholesome as well. But what is the result? You keep having more greed, more and more greed, even in human life, divine life, and so forth. You perpetuate greed. But if you start with non-greed, letting go, then when your greed is over, you have already attained enlightenment. And this is a very practical truth. So, this is not an opinion. You can see the difference between opinion and the truth. So I like to emphasize it for the benefit of all of us, not only you, even me, to understand the truth and liberate ourselves from samsara. I think, friend, this is all time I have today, and I'm very happy that you ask me this question. More questions you ask, more I get stimulated to investigate the Dhamma and to give correct as far as Dhamma is concerned. I want to give a correct answer according to Dhamma. These are not my opinions. Anybody can, this just like an open book. You can check out and come to a conclusion by yourself as Buddha asked us to do. With this, I want to end this morning session. And once again, I want to thank all of you for participating in this and this wonderful thing. You keep practicing and practicing and practicing. More you practice, the clearer your understanding will be. And friends, we started with metta and we want to conclude with metta. We want to wish all those who are suffering, receiving treatments in hospitals, homes, in various places, may they recover very soon and return to normal life. And those who are helping them, like doctors, nurses, hospital staffs, and so on, they are wonderful, dedicated, sincere, very compassionate people, and we want to wish them to continue their noble service and live long in very good health. And there are others whom I mentioned several times, almost in my every talk, who are suffering or grieving over the death of their own friends and relatives. And I hope by now, I have mentioned this many, many, many times, they understand Dhamma, and with their deep understanding Dhamma, may they be able to overcome their grief and return to their regular life and continue their Dhamma work, meditation and compassion. There are others who are supporting people in various ways, financially and otherwise. Let them continue their wonderful, generous practice, and that also is a wonderful, meritorious deed. They try to cleanse their own mind by doing these generous things, and may they live long in very good health. And there are some leaders who are doing wonderful job helping people making right decision. And there also are some leaders who are trying hard but not made the right decision with compassion, understanding and wisdom. May they have wisdom to make right decision with wisdom for the benefit of all of us. And friends, with this benediction, I am very happy that you are so honestly, sincerely dedicated to your time every day. I know you have many, many things to do. You sacrificed all of them during this period and to attend this practice. And may you all be well, happy and peaceful and live long in a very, very good health.